Welcome to Guelph Wrestle. I am Andrew Sennedra, and this is Captain I Shouldn't Have Ate That Weird Looking Banana Witch Fingers. And today we're going to be talking about AEW's All Out, which was kind of a bit of a strange pay-per-view because, you know, the more we're watching it, especially since it opened with the ROH tag titles on the line, it kind of felt like an ROH, you know, pay-per-view with the amount of, you know, combatants in the match that had ROH titles. It just kind of felt weird, like an ROH, you know, pay-per-view. Maybe that's why it was a bit strange. But you got some notes on the opening match here, the ROH tag title match. Was it MJF, Adam Cole versus John Silver and Alex Reynolds?
Yeah, as soon as MJF left the building with his broken freaking neck, I knew that was a part of the storyline. He's faked so many injuries. I'm like, this dude is so gonna be back.
The man of a million injuries.
Yeah, you know, the fans gonna cheer for him. He's gonna come hobbling back and then, you know, save the day, and that's what he did.
Lo and behold, he saved the day.
One thing I thought was funny though, when he's like leaving at the end, and then like Samoa Joe like comes up and shoves him, and then he's like choking him on his broken neck. We got a new rivalry barn.
Yeah, I thought I actually preferred the Samoa Joe versus Shane Taylor match over the opening match there, because I felt like it was kind of abrupt and out of nowhere.
Yeah,
so there wasn't much to it. And I've been watching ROH, so I know Shane Taylor's been, you know, winning a TV tournament to get there, and the history that he has with the TV title. So I was a little more invested in that. I do like Shane Taylor. Unfortunately, like, this just wasn't not like a Shane Taylor Samoa Joe match that could have been. It was mostly let's just like slap and beat the shit out of each other type of match. There wasn't like too much going on in it, which was kind of unfortunate because I think it could have been a lot better, because Shane Taylor usually, you know, I've seen him have some really good matches though.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it reminded me of like MMA style match where, like, you know, somebody strikes like throws and like kicks. It's like not as much wrestling moves.
Like two big heavyweights from like the old days, like Tank Abbott versus somebody.
It's like, I'm not gonna waste all my energy to throw you. They're gonna sap all my energy.
Too much damn heavyweights there. Next up, we got Luchasaurus versus Darby Allin for the TNT title. This one was kind of how I thought. Like, Christian would sort of semi-interfere and stuff like that. But I kind of thought, like, you know, Darby wasn't going to pull this one out, even with, like, maybe some tricks that he tried to do, like, you know, using his belt around, you know, his ankles or something like that. I thought, you know, they did the best they could by, like, him trying to injure his Luchasaurus' one arm. But I felt like this was going to be like a match of mass destruction, which it was. Luchasaurus really kind of like just brutally toyed with Darby throughout most of the match. Darby had a bit of like his moment and stuff. Like he had that really good crucifix bomb, which was surprising. But I think like Luchasaurus really helped him sell that by giving a good push, because there's no way Darby would have been able to lift him up in that. But yeah, it was just quite an overwhelming match. There was a really scary German suplex, and one that like flew at Darby's face. He like face planted into the turnbuckle. Looked like, you know, I think it was Taz was saying something about, oh no, that was Omega's nose, I think he said. But anyways, yeah, he did it was nasty though. His head really kicked back on that.
Yeah, that was like an incredible beating Darby took, and like I felt like he looked like he was in a lot of pain, and like Jericho should also have the same talk with him, you know, like, dude, slow down, you're gonna break your freaking back, you know. You need to go for longevity kind of thing.
Maybe he doesn't want to go for longevity though, right? Like, some of these guys, they're just like, fuck it, I don't need to go longevity.
And then at the one point, it looked like Christian was like, you know, dilly-dallying. He wasn't expecting that. And then like Darby like torpedoes, like smokes him, and the Christian's like, oh! he didn't get his hands up to protect himself. He just like took a head first torpedo. And then that finish, it was pretty nasty, you know, like that double tombstone. And then like he gave him like that cool snake eyes, and then he clothesline in the back of his head. It was like some mega combo like fighting game.
It was like some Killer Instinct shit right there.
The Darby had no chance.
Ultra. It was pretty nasty. But yeah, I think that was a pretty good match. That was probably the best match up until that point. And then we got, I think, a bit of a disappointing match following, because you kind of got expectations. Hobbs and Miro have had good matches. So Hobbs and Miro in this one, there just wasn't, you know, too much. I was expecting more. This one, to me, felt more like a WWE match. Just a lot of, like, let's hit each other with clotheslines and try, like, you know, feats of strength versus one another. There really wasn't, you know, too much going on that I thought in the match. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, you like you know, the strong style just remind me of like slow style, right? You know, two guys slowly going at it, and then like usually when you have like a power guy, it's usually like he's like throwing around a small guy, so you like throw him like halfway across the ring. But here, like they're barely throwing them around because like this guy's really heavy. I'm really heavy.
I thought I was a bit surprised that like Hobbs was sort of bullying Miro around a bit at times, because I was like, oh, that won't happen, but it did. So I thought that was good. That like, hey, let's just give them some shots, because like certain guys might not want to be thrown around because they're like, I'm too big and powerful.
Yeah. I figure he would break out of the game over the first attempt, but the second attempt was all she wrote. But I thought the ending was was most interesting to me, where you got his wife Lena comes out, and then, like he forsaken everything, even his hot sexy wife. He's like I don't care, a forsaken God, a forsaken wife, I'm out of here.
I was a bit confused. I was like, oh, I don't know what the hell this is, but whatever. Next thing we're moving on to, we got Ricky Starks versus the surprise return of Bryan Danielson. I don't even think he was fully healthy. He was like still had like a rod or something, like because I don't think he could have been that 100% from having a rod placed in his forearm. So good on him for trying to like help salvage Ricky Stark's pay-per-view moment, because of the stupid Mr. Brat, CM Punk. But the match was it was kind of WWE again. It was mostly just like slapping him with the strap, and I felt like it was really too much WWE when Ricky Steamboat came to save the day. Like he blocked a punch from Big Bill, a 70-year-old man. Again, like most good-sized men couldn't stop Big Bill from punching him, let alone a 70-year-old man. And he just like blocked him, and I was like, I don't know, this is WWE.
Yeah, I thought that made Big Bill really weak.
Yeah. Like, you can't take this old man.
You take an old man. He's like, Ricky Starks like, you have one job. You can't even beat up old man. What are you good for?
That definitely was kind of weird. And everyone was like cheering him, like, oh, come on. Like, I thought we were supposed to have this suspension of disbelief here.
Yeah. I was kind of disappointed, I figure like, keep Punk one last match where he gets whipped like crazy, and then you got like Vince like, you're fired kind of thing, but
Stupid Punk. That guy's a fucking brat.
I bet Justin Roberts like in flashbacks, when he's like seeing him like choking him, he's like, oh, that used to be me, I was getting choked by a tie.
Now Starks is getting choked. He was getting choked pretty good. His face went really beat red.
Yeah.
The next match was actually a match that, I thought was really good. Eddie Kingston, Shibata versus Claudio and Wheeler Yuta. I actually thought this was really good. I think what I found about Claudio is, like, initially I thought, like, the first year or so that he was in AEW, he was really WWE. It's like he had to work it out of his system. It's like, I have to get all this, like, WWE style, match setups and things that I can do so I don't overshine or overshadow people. Is, he had to get it out of his system, because I think, like, when he wrestles like now, and especially like defending his ROH title, since he's had better matches, better movesets and things like that. So I thought like this match was definitely more interesting. It felt more engaging, at least, especially with the rivalry between Eddie and Claudio in it. I felt like the grappling and the striking was really solid. I felt like the anger and the rivalry was really going hard, and Claudio's just kind of like ignoring Kingston. Eddie's like, oh, fucking beat the piss out of you, you stupid jackass, insulting me and my weight.
Yeah, one thing I did find strange though, because like he's doing those European uppercuts, and then Shibato's like just like tanking it, has no effect. He's got him on a submission, and then gives Claudio a double submission. It's like no effect. But then later on, the European uppercut was the finish. So I'm like, I thought it was useless because Shibata like just tanking.
Oh, it's because it's Shibata. He survived a brain bleed. He survived a brain bleed. Only a fucking nuclear bomb can take.
He's like that hammerhead in Marvel, his head, attack him in the head, he's like, not face.
Yeah, it's like, and only Kingston, he can't take it. He needs his brain to bleed first, then he can take it. But overall, I thought there was some really big, exciting moves and stuff like that. Even some of the subtleties, like Shibata's Hurricane was really, solid. I like the subtleties. I thought they were really great within the match. Yeah, like some of the subtleties, like when Claudio left Wheeler Yuta like just suffer in one of the holds. He's just like, you know, he was fighting, I think, Kingston in the match, and Shibata had Wheeler in a submission, and he just like leaves instead of breaking it up. I was like, what the hell? He was like, oh, you deal with it, you idiot. It was just like funny little subtleties like that. Shibata, you know, him and Claudio kept chasing each other to the corner, and then eventually he puts him down and then checks. He's like, okay, he's down this time. It's just the little subtleties in that I thought like sort of made made the match a little bit more interesting and things like that, a little more, you know, story driven, and like kind of like a comic, just the little things that you pick up that make it a little more, you know, in depth. And then we're moving on to Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita. Quite a violent match, a lot of history here, so there was a lot of build up. This one, you know, with the last match, I thought were like the two of the best matches in my opinion, and they really helped boost up the pay-per-view. But wow, this was pretty violent, and Takeshita really went to town on Kenny like the Don Callis said they were going to do. And I think that sort of helped apply to the storyline, like let's wound his old battle scars and to help get the win. So I think it's like, okay, I like that idea, being like, oh, you know, just the way to break down Kenny throughout the match. Like that high angle suplex had to been, you know, that was vicious. You know, I thought, I was like, oh, that might have been worse than, you know, Ospreay's Tiger Driver he put on him. It was pretty nasty. The turnbuckle face splat. You know, Taz was pointing out his nose. He's like, look at his nose. It's like all bent up into his face. I think there was a nasty brainbuster outside, but, you know, which you could see, like, you know, the anguish in Kenny on that one. That was just absolutely brutal one. And there was Takeshita's senton, I think, that he was coming flying over the top, and it looked like something caught Kenny in the mouth because he's like holding his mouth for so long. I don't know if it's forearm or elbow, but there was some definitely hard-hitting, big moments within this match that were really memorable.
Yeah, Omega kicked out some big moves. But that one thing I found was really funny was like, you know, like Don Callis nearly murdered someone to this day. You know, he stabbed it so hard. You know, like, it went through the ring. You know.
Yeah.
Omega would have been dead for sure.
Like stabs his head.
Win by death.
There's also some very like hard hitting shots. They were loud. The kicks and the slaps and stuff. I was like, holy crap, some of these are really loud. They were going hard. I think they were really trying to emphasize like the hate towards one another in this one. So, you know, I thought that was really good. I thought this was probably Takeshita's, you know, best, most well-rounded match. A lot of the things he did was like awesome. The striking submissions, the big moves, the big moments, the kickouts. Just overall, I think this was probably Takeshita's best moment. I really liked his ring gear. It was just subtle, but he had like the hood over him. It was kind of like, you know, manga style, mafioso, you know, Tatsuya Naito style a little bit.
I was wondering why he's walking out. He's like, okay, I can't see where I'm going.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. He lifts it up a bit to check where he's on the ramp. Lifts it up a bit to go up to the. He's like, I just gotta make sure I don't fucking bail on the stairs.
I think they got it right though. Like. In most cases, you know, the other company would have like, you know, Omega winning, the good guy win versus like the bad guy. But I think that it's good that Takeshita won. Like you build him up to be like a powerful entity, a powerful force to you're really struggling at him against them. So I think they made it. But
I also think like now Kenny can kind of come back and go rebuild himself, you know, recharacterize himself. Almost like the Cleaner or something. Come back like, oh, if I'm gonna beat Takeshi this time, I gotta be the Cleaner. I want your money. Like he's gotta go like insane style to go back, right? Because that's what Don said his weakness is too much relying on his weak friends. Well, maybe he's got to come back and change and become like that powerhouse again.
Also, they've got hire Marco Stunt back. Got a crazy look. He's sort of kicking the crap of Marco Stunt again.
I gotta kill Marco Stunt, and then I'll be dominant. Then we're moving on to Bullet Club Gold versus the Elite and FTR. This match, I didn't have anything. You have some. I just felt kind of dull. Like a lot of the time, it felt like Dax was in the match slapping with Jay White. For a lot of the match, it was like those two hitting each other, and then like Juice would come in, and there was like some suplexes, and that was kind of like. Oh, there's not really much going on in this match. The most exciting stuff was kind of between the Guns and the Bucks, you know, going toe to toe and super kicking each other, but yeah, there wasn't too much. You got some notes though.
I like the comedy aspect, you know. You have like Austin Gunn. He's like flinging around. he doesn't touch like Dax, and Dax like falls over. It must be like that wind, you know. He's like running so fast, and then later on you see the same thing with the Young Bucks where he does like a moonsault, completely misses Juice Robinson. The wind, the gust of wind from that cliff, you know, and Juice was flying back. Right?
These guys got like some wind elemental powers or something.
Apparently. I thought it was funny where Young Bucks they do like the drop kick. And then Matt Jackson, he's like doing the test. He's like, you know.
Well, people don't know what the test is. We just created that.
There was like a video game where in the test, he that was one of his taunts.
The wrestler test. Most people probably don't even remember the test. But.
It's a classic, right? Is this possibly a foreshadow of Dax is going to join the Bullet Club? You know, he's in the corner. You know, he's raising his hands.
Oh, when he was in the then like nobody was paying attention. He was like, turn around, guys. We gotta make this look good.
Another thing I thought was funny. I don't know if you guys noticed, but like Nick Jackson, like Juice Robinson outside, he's like. He came like the scorpion. He's like, get over here, because I guess he's like too far. He can't dive that far. Oh. And then you see Juice like slowly walling closer. I'm like, it worked.
Yeah, that was an alright match, but I think I maybe had a bit more high expectations in it. But anyways, we're moving on to the main event, Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley for the international title. So that one was pretty good. I think like they kind of saved the day, you know, in the sense that they had to put this main event together fast because Mr. whiny bitch, not getting his way. And but overall, I think this was a better main event than Starks versus Punk because you got Orange and Mox can usually bring it based on whoever he's facing, which I think he did in this one. They helped create a storyline pretty quick and being like, you better show up, Mox. Orange, you better be tough because I'm gonna bludgeon you to hell, which he pretty much did. Yeah. He did really bleed, and bludgeon him pretty badly. Again with the count out though, that didn't make sense. Orange Cassidy's getting demolished outside, and then Mox goes in the ring, and they start counting. I'm like, okay, well you can't win the belt that way. I guess Mox doesn't want to win the belt. They did the same thing the week before on All In. And Orange Cassidy, like, why even bother going into the ring? You've won. You get to retain the title. So I was like, the count-out just doesn't make any sense. Why do it? They did it back-to-back weeks. I'm like, this is confusing. It's pointless.
Yeah. One thing I thought was interesting was, like, Mox is being dirty with the gouging at his, bleeding face. And then, like, Orange Cassidy took a book out of his cover, He's playing like, a little dirty. He's, like, biting him,
A book out of his cover? You mean a page out of his book?
Yeah, a page out of his book, He's, like, biting him, and they give him a diving DDT. He's like, I can be dirty, too,
Yeah. Well, yeah, there was that moment outside where Mox was, like, ripping up the padding and stuff. And it was like, oh, Orange gave him the beach break. And it was like, well, it looked like Orange was hurt more. He's like, oh, my ass. I was like, oh, man, Orange, he's like getting hurt by Mox. He's hurting himself. But his durability is really shown, not just on this run, but like through the last couple of weeks. Really tough matches. Really got bludgeoned in the last 2 matches he's had. It was just like, holy crap, he's done a lot. But I thought like the transition to give the belt to Mox was good because Orange beat so many people, overcame so many obstacles. So having Mox win it is like one of the last top guys that you could have that, he could face. Like if he beat Mox, who was left for him to beat? So I think giving him that was really good. And I really felt like, Mox, beating him up gave Orange Cassidy more credibility. Yeah. Not just like, oh, Orange is going to do this and he's going to put his hands in his pockets. Like, the last couple of weeks has really elevated, I think, his stock even more, it seems.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think at the end, the fans gave him a huge ovation, saying thank you, Cassidy, and everything. And I thought he would disappear, go on vacation, because he seems to be banged up a little bit. Yeah. But then we saw him, return, so I'm like, that's dynamite.
But yeah, that's why I keep saying is like he definitely seems like a guy who's been popular since the beginning. He's been one of the top merch guys according to their analytics is the guys, and we could clearly see he can wrestle like anybody all over the place. In different spots on the card and stuff. So I'm kind of like, maybe Orange Cassidy should be like a title holder, or like the main AEW title holder. But that was just my thought. Like, maybe that's the next direction they have to go with him.
I'd be cool with that. I think it'd be a popular...
Him or Wardlow. Because I think it'd be cool if Wardlow came back and beat MJF.
Oh, yeah,
Comes back and he's like fucking hardcore, heavy, you know, just have him elevate, you know, I thought that'd be good. But so now that we sort of got the pay-per-view wrapped up, you know, where do you got it graded? Good, great, awesome, amazing, spectacular, or fantastic?
I'm gonna say it's a great pay-per-view, you know, there's some hit or miss in there. It could have been better, but I think they put most of the power at Wembley Stadium, so.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Like, at the very beginning, after the first few matches, I was like, well, this isn't even a good pay-per-view. But I really felt like Kingston's match, Kenny's match, those really helped elevate it up to the great part. So, you know, yeah, I'm going to go with great. And Orange and Mox was, I think, a surprise for me.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Mox had a good performance, so... yeah, I'm going to go with that as well, as we both decided on great. Anyways, that's our thoughts on All Out. What did you think? Did you think it was weird with all the ROH titles sort of floating around in there? You know, and you know, what you thought of the matches and then the short, you know, main event. Well, not short main event, but short notice main event between Orange and Mox. What do you think about that? Let us know down in the comments below. And until next time, folks, how about some heavy wrestling?